So if you want to get rid of your back pain permanently, then let us dive deep into one of the main probable causes that can keep causing back pain repeatedly in your life. We will try and take a test to see whether your spine is in a neutral position or is it overarched. To determine whether our spine is in a neutral position, we will start the test by just lying down on the floor on a completely flat surface. The ground is the best for this. Just adjust your back and just allow it to be where it is. Then you will take your fingers and you will try and slide it through the deepest curvature of your lower back. Ideally, your entire arm should not pass through the whole lower back. If it goes beyond your knuckles, it means that your back has an overarch, which means it has an excessive lumbar lordosis. Ideally, it should stop right at the knuckles. This excessive lumbar lordosis or excessive overarch in our back is very important to correct. It is also called an anterior pelvic tilt. A very easy way to see somebody who has an anterior pelvic tilt is to just observe and see whether their knees are hyperextended and their back is overarched. You will quickly get to know that this person has poor posture and weak core strength. An anteriorly tilted posture needs to be corrected because it leads to shortened back muscles, tight quadricep muscles, and a weak core. Many of us were born with an anterior pelvic tilt, and thus there is nothing much you can do about it. But many of us have gained an anterior pelvic tilt over time. Many women post-pregnancy have gotten into an excessive lumbar lordosis because of the weight of the belly hanging forward for 9 months. And even some obese people with big stomachs have that excessive anterior pelvic tilt. There is an imbalance of the various muscles pulling around the pelvic region, and this leads to lower back pain for people who have an anterior pelvic tilt. Thus, we will dive right into the exercises and the solutions that can be done to change this. This breaks the chain of continuous back pain that people experience in their day-to-day life. One of the easiest solutions that we can do to avoid an anterior tilted pelvis is the pelvic tilt maneuver. All you need to do is simply tilt the pelvis downward. You will thus feel your core muscles pulling upwards and becoming tighter. The pelvic tilt maneuver is primarily to improve our posture in our day-to-day activities. Another solution to reducing the anterior pelvic tilt permanently over time is this easy exercise that you can do for 5 minutes every day. So simply lie down on your back with your knees bent. You're going to get into the pelvic tilt maneuver in this position. Check to see that there is absolutely no gap between your fingers and the lower back. Then you will bring your hands behind, rest them on the floor. Keep that pelvic tilted and keep the spine imprinted on the floor. Then you will slowly walk your feet forward to whatever position feels comfortable. Just make sure the spine that is imprinted on the floor isn't back to getting arched. And we will just hold this position for 5 minutes every single day. You can always retest immediately after this. Keep your legs straight and see some gap between the spine and the floor decreases every single day. For most of us, lower back pain is a constant struggle in our day-to-day life. People with anterior pelvic tilts always have some muscles tight and some muscles weak. So with the next few exercises, we want to target all of these muscle groups to just make sure that lower back pain never comes back again. Anteriorly pelvic tilted people generally have weaker cores and glutes, and they have tighter hamstrings, quadriceps, hip muscles, as well as tight lower back muscles. So I would encourage all of you to add the next few exercises in your everyday life so that you get rid of that back pain completely. So first we will target the weaker muscle groups. So the first exercise will be for the core. We imprint the lower back by getting into a posterior pelvic tilt, ensuring there is no space between the lower back and the floor. We keep the palms facing down, bring one leg up to tabletop and then the other leg up to tabletop. We will hold this position for a minute without the back arching. For the second exercise for the weaker muscle groups, we target the glutes. For this, we add the bridge exercise into our daily life. Simply lie down on the floor, get into a posterior pelvic tilt and lift the hips up. Squeeze the buttocks, hold this position for 5 counts and then come back down and repeat for 5 counts. You can do about 10 repetitions. You can get into 10 repetitions of the glute bridge or even double up the counts if you're stronger. We now target the tighter muscles. So we first start with the hamstrings. You can take a scarf or a yoga belt or a regular belt, whichever one you have at home. Simply lie down, place the belt or the scarf at the sole of the foot and just simply try and lock the knee and extend the leg up. Make sure that the other leg is pushed down and is not raised up. You will hold the stretch for 1 entire minute. So the next group of tight muscles, we address the hips. You can simply just sit on the floor, bring one-legged figure of 4 and try to get your back as upright as possible. You must feel a deep stretch in your hip. You will hold this position for 1 minute.
Next group of muscles that are targeted are the quadriceps. You will simply lie down, turn one foot to the outside. Don't overarch your back. Keep the core engaged. Allow the knee to come up as high as possible. And you will get the other leg to press this knee down without overarching the back. You must feel a deep stretch in the quadricep muscle. You will hold this position for 1 minute. The last group of muscles that we want to open up are the lower back muscles and the entire paraspinal region. There's a very easy stretch. Simply sit cross-legged and get your arms to one side. Then move over to the other side. You will feel a deep stretch moving all the way from the lower back, all the way up. You will hold this position for 1 minute on each side.
Loosening up the tight muscles and strengthening our weaker muscles goes a long way in stabilizing our spine in our day-to-day life to avoid back pain. But just give yourself that reminder to hold your posture in a better position in all your activities in your daily life, because simply getting into exercises and not holding the right posture in our daily lives will still bring upon back pain. So let us know in the comments below whether these exercises helped you, and if they haven't, we're always here to help. So the next time you see a family member or a friend with an anterior pelvic tilt, make sure you share this video with them.
Make sure to like, subscribe to this channel and tell us what your experience was.